Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are now joined by our friend once again, Tracy Clairmont. Excited to have our certified hypnotherapist, also life coach, joining us here on the line, also on the Zoomcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jill. Thank you.
Happy belated Mother's Day. And I
Yes.
don't know where I disappeared to.
There you are.
How was Mother's Day? Was everything good for you?
It was good. It was busy. I'm a very busy mother, running all over, chasing kids in their athletics and their sports. So we had a very busy day of both rodeo and softball all weekend. So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
and we also
Wow.
want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of those moms out there who put so much effort forth for their children and do so much to make everybody's world a beautiful place.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit about you, the work you do for new people, just to reestablish a little bit about, how you could help them.
absolutely. So I am a certified hypnotherapist and a life coach. I love what I do. I've also been a licensed mental health therapist for 30 plus years, and I started shifting my practice to hypnotherapy about 5 years ago. I just love the outcomes that happen in hypnotherapy. It's just an amazing intervention, and I love being a guide for people's healing, and that's what I am as a hypnotherapist. So I have a practice in Western Montana, beautiful Western Montana. We are finally through with winter. I'm so excited to say that because winter hung on for a very long time here.
Hmm.
And it's beautiful here, and I do have an office where I see people in person, and I also, of course, do sessions over Zoom.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. And remind us of the website, how we can reach you.
I do have a website now. It's tracyclairmonthypnotherapy.com. So that's TracyClairmont hypnotherapy.com. And I can also be reached via email at hypnowithtracy, TRICY, at Yahoo.
All right, great.
Yeah.
I hear a little echo in the background. Is that me?
Oh, I don't hear it on my
Okay.
end.
All right, good, good. Every time I talk, I heard it coming through. It's like I'm hearing me in like your speaker or something. No?
Oh, I'm
Nope.
not
Okay,
hearing
good.
anything.
I'm going to stop talking anyway. So go ahead. What did you want to talk about for today? Even better.
Well, Jill, I would love to just continue talking about hypnotherapy and how it can be helpful. We've talked about, some of the more well-known issues that people come to hypnotherapy with such as anxiety or self-confidence. They come for performance enhancement, sleep, weight loss. Those are all things that maybe come to mind for people when they think about hypnotherapy. But I wanted to talk about when people have issues that are less clear. So I often have people come to me either for mental health therapy or hypnotherapy, and they're coming saying that they have behaviors that they don't want to have anymore. And they say that, they really don't know why they make the decisions that they do because the decisions and the behaviors that they're engaged in are very self-sabotaging and self-destructive. And they come and they say that they don't know why they do it. It's like their brain says, I shouldn't be doing this. And then there's some kind of drive that moves them forward into behaviors that can be really self-destructive. Like they can threaten all that is good in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and they still move forward into those behaviors. And people come to therapy or hypnotherapy. Generally people think when they have that issues like that, they think of regular mental health therapy. Well, hypnotherapy can be extremely helpful for these kind of issues too. And when they say, I don't know why I do it, but I do it, I believe that they are not aware of
Mm-hmm.
why they're doing it. I knew it was wrong and I did it anyway. I don't know why. These are true statements because there's a lack of awareness. Maybe Jill, you've known people like that. Maybe people out there listening, maybe they're like that. I know I've engaged in behaviors at different times in my life that weren't in my best interest, but I was driven to do that. And I've had to take time and reflect back and try to figure out what that is about so that I can heal that and make better choices in the future. It can be really hard to be on the receiving end in relationship with somebody who has self-destructive behaviors and doesn't have awareness about why they're doing it. It can be really hard to be in relationship with people who do those things because it really requires a tremendous amount of patience and compassion. And when somebody is telling you, I don't know why I did it, when you're caught up in your feelings and you're hurt, that's not a very good answer to hear. You kind of get caught up in that, well, you did it, you chose it, you know it. So this can cause a lot of relationship damage, but I just, I want to say that I do believe that people honestly don't know sometimes why they choose self-destructive behaviors. So the million-dollar question is, what drives a person to engage in behavior that has the potential to destroy all that's good in their life, right? Like what drives that? It's also hard to understand. However, I can assure you that all these behaviors are generated from experiences in childhood that we're carrying with us. Unresolved experiences, feelings from experiences in childhood. And then I hear from people when I say that, when I put it out there, I hear like, how can that be? How can that happened so many years ago be affecting me today? That doesn't make sense. Well, I just want to shed some light on why that actually makes sense.
Sure.
So I've said many times before in podcasts that our subconscious mind, it holds every memory of every experience we've ever had and the emotion attached to those memories. It's all in our subconscious mind. Our conscious mind gets us through our day. It tells us when to wake up. It tells us what to do first, second, and third. We're very thankful for our conscious mind because it moves us through our day. Our subconscious mind, though, is what dictates how we experience our day, how we feel throughout our day, how we interpret relational interactions throughout our day. It colors our perception of our daily experience. And this subconscious programming it's learned in our childhood. It has all to do with those behaviors that I'm talking about. Those behaviors that can be so self-destructive in our lives. They're those behaviors that are negative, disempowering, self-sabotaging, self-defeating. So, we kind of get caught in this loop. We end up repeating painful feelings that we've experienced in our childhood all throughout our life without even having awareness of it. It's a loop of subconsciously repeating painful feelings that came from childhood experiences, trauma experiences. Now, so often those trauma experiences came at the hands of our caretakers, our parents, those people who were charged with taking care of us, protecting us, keeping us safe. So often these trauma experiences come at their hands. And, really, if you look at the big picture, those caretakers were experiencing their own pain and they were putting it on to us as their children. They held that pain, but then they put it on to us with their behaviors and their abusive behaviors that cause so much hurt, and they put that hurt onto their children, cause their children to carry this hurt long into their adult life, and children in situations like that, they can't use their voice. They can't stand up for themselves, right? They can't defend themselves because what happens if they defend themselves? Then they get hurt more, right? Then that abuser hurts them more and it gets worse. So what ends up happening is they stuff all that emotion in and they focus on surviving. They hold it in and they focus on surviving, getting through their day, well, then they go into adulthood and they're still holding all of that in, right? There's so many studies, Jill, that show that nearly every health condition is a result of suppressed rage and emotional pain. You know, arthritis, chronic fatigue, digestive issues, migraines, all of those things, they come as the result of repeated firing of a negative emotion that it that firing repeats so often that it eventually starts to break down our bodies. You know, our bodies can only take so much. It's the repeated firing of these negative emotions that come from our adverse childhood experiences that then drive those self-destructive behaviors, self-sabotaging behaviors. It leaves us with this feeling of not being worthy, not being lovable, not being good enough. It's all based in shame. And shame is, in my opinion, the hardest emotion to manage and to live with, right? It's one of the most important feelings and emotions to receive healing around and to resolve, because it'll just eat you alive and be so destructive in our lives. So yeah, we repeat these negative emotions and we victimize ourselves until we decide to heal it. And this is the good news, it can be healed, right? In the recent past, our healthcare industry has made a shift, and that shift has been, in my opinion, so extraordinarily important. And that shift is from what's wrong with you to what happened to you. It's called trauma-informed care. So our healthcare industry has started looking at, you know, what's happened to you and looking at these childhood experiences, looking at trauma as a means of figuring out where these illnesses come from. And it's so very important. You know, schools, some schools, I believe all schools should, but some schools have trauma-informed educational systems in place. I know here where I'm from, one of our school districts did a program that was trauma-informed, and it was called Handle with Care. And it was a very simple program. If the school administration or a teacher or somebody was aware that a child had had some kind of event happen in their life the night before, say there was a drug bust at their house, or you know, their parent was hospitalized or something like that, there would be a simple message sent out to all the teachers that was Handle with Care. It didn't say what the business was and what had happened. It was just a simple message: Handle with Care. This child is going through something, you know. And when you can think of what happened to you, it allows us to receive people who may have behaviors with greater compassion and patience, right? Because then we quit taking everything personally, you know. And schools are a great place for, sometimes I'm sure it feels like a personal attack on a teacher if a child's behavior is out of control. But if that teacher can know that there's something going on, or there's something in this history that is generating this behavior and it's not them, it's easier to depersonalize it, not take it personally. And same thing in our personal relationships, you know, our closest relationships. When we can see that behaviors are driven from a place of trauma, we can be more compassionate and more patient with people and not take it as a personal attack. So trauma-informed care, it's so important. And in my opinion, hypnotherapy is like the ultimate trauma-informed care intervention, right? It's all natural, first off. And it's all about figuring out, making the connections between what happened to you and how it impacts the issue today. You go back to scenes that are all to do with where this originated.
Does it ever not work? I mean, you hear success stories, but is there some situations where hypnotherapy doesn't work? Could you share that? Or I mean, for the most part, I mean, that's why people might say they're scared. Oh, it doesn't work. Got to try
Oh,
it. But just curious about what for most things it does help with.
right. That's a great question. So, there may be instances where a person has a difficult time going to that deep place of relaxation. And there may be times where things don't come up for them. And when that happens, we can move forward and um, talk about, just go to places in childhood that are not bringing up scenes, and we can kind of give that client a little bit of practice with the hypnotherapy, right? And then we can send them home with a tape, or I could send them home with a tape where they kind of practice that self-hypnosis and they get comfortable with the process, right? Because there is no wrong way to do hypnotherapy. Like, you can't get it wrong. It's whatever is right for you, and we can go at whatever pace you are able and comfortable doing. So it may take more than one session to help a person first become completely relaxed and comfortable with it, so that those scenes will come forward. Um, there might be there's listening to your own personalized tape and practicing self-hypnosis is a great experience. It feels good. So that's something that can happen.
Do you tape every session? Or how does it work? Or
The
just
tape
is a
is
certain part of
only,
it?
right, the tape is only at the end. So we go through the session, we bring up the scenes, we do the healing, whatever is meant to happen during the session, and then I I say that we're going to now do the transformation. It's called the transformation. And that's where the client just sits back and listens. And I do a recording where I do a brief
Oh yeah.
induction, and then I put in all of the positive suggestions. It's like a picture of life without the problem. And um, the messages and the beliefs that are self-serving, they're all included in that recording at the end. And then it's provided to the person, and I ask that the person listen to that for 21 days, and that's so that new neural pathways can be developed. You know, our brains are malleable. They can grow at any age. We can develop new neural pathways at any age. So that's what the 21 days is of listening to that is meant for, to solidify it.
All right. And just remind us, Tracy, how we can reach you. Would you mind just sharing again your website, any form of contact before we continue?
Yes, my website is Tracy Clairmont Hypnotherapy.com, TracyClairmont Hypnotherapy.com. And I can also be reached via email, and that's hypnowithtracy, Tracy spelled Tracy at yahoo.com. And I also have an Instagram page that has the same name as the website, Tracy Claremont Hypnotherapy.
Thank you so much. All right, great conversation, but you got to try it. For someone to reach out to you to work with you, you offer initial consultation, correct?
I do.
Puts them at ease, right? No
Oh,
obligation,
absolutely.
but to reach out to try to get a start, why not, right?
Right, and ask any questions that you have. I'm happy to answer them.
Wow. All right. Thank you. I know before we continue, is there any stories that you want to share? I love hearing client stories,
Oh,
not
yes.
about them personally, but just in general, what this could help with that can maybe resonate with someone.
Sure. So when I was doing training, I was watching a training video, and this was a person who had severe back pain, and they'd gone to their doctor many times, tried to get help. They'd been given painkiller medications, things like that. Nothing relieved the pain, so she decided to try hypnotherapy. So in this training video, the hypnotherapist took her back to scenes that were originated in childhood, and there were three scenes where this individual was being degraded by their caretaker, just made to feel worthless. Feelings that came up out of those scenes were worthless, helpless, alone, can't do anything right, even blamed for what other people do wrong. Very harsh names called and words used. So those were the feelings that came up. Now, in this session, there's a thing called role, function, purpose, intention. So in hypnotherapy, we can have the person look inward and ask themselves, ask the pain, what is the role that you play in my life? And the role that the pain said was to punish her, that she deserved the pain. Then we looked at the function. The function was to remind her that she deserved this pain, that she can't pretend that she's worthy, right? She needs to be reminded that she's not. And the purpose was to keep her in her place, keep her in this feeling of worthlessness, helplessness, alone. And the intention was so that she wouldn't forget who she really was. Like she couldn't fool the pain, right? So these issues, they play roles, they have a purpose and a function, and you can go inward and talk to that pain. And then you can do, this is a perfect example of adverse childhood experiences, how she held them inside for all these years and they played themselves out in her daily living as an adult, driving negative behavior and governing her perceptions of unworthiness and dictating her beliefs. And so she always felt kind of like she was very successful, but she felt like an imposter, right? Like she didn't want people to really know who she was because that belief was there. So we went in and in this training video, the hypnotherapist went in and did this thing called "That's Not Me." That's not me. So you do this thing with people where you can say, "That's not me because." That's not me because I'm no longer that child needing this. I am this many years old today. I don't need that. You can do "It's not me." You can go in, you can do a dialogue with the herder. I believe in this training video, they did do a dialogue with the herder who was the mother. And you can, in hypnotherapy, have a discussion, a dialogue with that herder and talk about how that made you feel. You can also talk to your parts. And I, again, believe in this training video that she talked to those parts of her, the pain. She talked to the pain. And she said, "You know what? This is not serving me anymore. I need you to stop. I'm not that person. I don't need to be reminded of unworthiness because I'm actually worthy. I am this many years old now. I am not that child. I don't need my mother in that way anymore. I can provide these things for myself. You serve no purpose for me anymore. You need to go away." Those are kind of healing things that are done. Now, when you're looking at physical ailments and pain and things like that, it may take a few sessions because these are not easy things to resolve. But it could take one session. I believe with this individual, she experienced great relief from the pain in her back. So you can continue. It can be more sessions. I know in my training, I was told that really significant chronic pain may take 3 or 4 sessions. It all depends on the person and what they're interested in. But again, it all goes back to the suffering that's happening inside from holding in rage and hurt that comes from those adverse childhood experiences, certainly from abuse and neglect. It all comes, it seeps out one way or another, whether you let it out in a healthy way or whether you don't. It will come out. And the great news is that It's never too late to work on this stuff. It's
Yeah.
never too late to heal. And healing can happen. I've seen it a million times.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're so sweet. Thank you. I love
Absolutely.
hearing that. And I think it just resonates with so many people that they can be helped, they can be fixed. But yeah, you're right. It builds, and it just purges. So you can only suppress it so much. It's eventually going to come out.
Right? And it might come out in physical ailments, or it might come out in these behavioral choices like
Yeah.
driving, self-destructive behavioral choices, and that you just don't want to engage in, but find yourself engaging in.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes out in some form or fashion.
Thank you, Tracy. Would you mind sharing how we can contact you?
You can contact me via email at hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com or over my website, and that's Tracy Clairmont hypnotherapy.com, and it is spelled TracyClairmont hypnotherapy.com.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
There's an awkward echo on my end every time I speak, so I'm not speaking much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I hear it only every now and then when I'm speaking to you. So I hope it's not on the recording. I'm going to be quiet now. It's time to go anyway. But thank you for the session today. I feel like it was a session.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.